sequel right now, Cinema Symbolism 2, but it's deep water stuff. I mean, a lot of people, but the one thing I kind of, there were a couple motivating I mean, for starters, the motivating factor was, I mean, I was seeing it. I mean, I was seeing it as plain as day. But the other thing was there was this sort of body of research that somewhat, you know, and I don't really like to disparage or put down or anything like that when I do these shows. I'm much more interested in talking about my own work. But every time this subject matter came up, it was this idea of every time you see an eye in a triangle in a movie or even something that resembles this, this is evidence of this, you know, overarching Masonic, Illuminati, occult, Luciferian agenda somehow or another. You know, I mean, what it is, no one knows, but there's the eye in the triangle, so this must be some sort of Masonic MK Ultra mind control program. I never bought into that. I still don't buy into that. What I was finding with these movies was, well, you know, just how adroit this material is concealed and conveyed both to your conscious and subconscious mind. I mean, you're really dealing with themes of Kabbalah, of astrology, of astrotheology, of archetypes. You know, we're dealing with the collective unconscious. We're dealing, you know, with archetypal imagery. We're dealing with numerology. We're dealing with comparative religion. We're actually, in some instances, dealing with comparative cinema, where actors, and this is something I'm finding out more and more, that actors and actresses may be cast in a certain role for the cinematic baggage they bring to that role, creating some sort of like esoteric construct within the movie. So it's very deep waters. I mean, it goes much more in depth than just, oh, there's an eye in a triangle. This is MK Ultra, Masonic, Illuminati, mind control. You know, I really wanted to get into the deeper arcana of this, the comparative religion, the ancient religion, Hebrew Kabbalah, Christian Kabbalah, numerology. This was the material that really fascinated alchemy. This was the stuff that really fascinated me. And it was really the 20 years of Royal Arch that I put into that. I essentially turned it on Hollywood. And out came Cinema Symbolism, and I'm actually writing its sequel right now, Cinema Symbolism 2.
Phenomenal. So, you probably know better than I where to begin, but I'm curious. You mentioned this idea of casting actors for roles in movies to sort of have them bring along, like, maybe other ideas of other roles they played, or maybe like personal baggage in their own lives that sort of are like wrapped up in the idea of them on the screen. I think that's a fascinating concept. And I've only heard that discussed maybe in a few places, but I think that's really amazing idea.
Well, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about this then, if you don't mind.
You know, please.
No, this is something that I started doing with Cinema Symbolism. I found two examples that were really, really strong to me, but I'm finding this more and more. And it seems to be more commonplace than even I thought anticipated. What we're talking about is the idea of casting an actor or an actress for a certain part. For usually it's because of some other part that they've been in, and they bring that part with them subconsciously or consciously to the role. And it creates this sort of really kind of like esoteric, it's like a construct within a construct almost. It's like a role within a role in a movie, if that makes sense. The two that really, that I talked about in Cinema Symbolism, and I'll give you some other ones, was in the first, this was a classic one. In the very first Star Wars movies, this was Episode 1, this was Phantom Menace. You have the Anakin Skywalker story. This is something I talk about in the book. Is this Christ allegory? You know, how Anakin is the chosen one. He's rejected by the temple elders. He wants to stop people from dying. He eventually storms the temple. It's you know, very Christ-like in nature. And one of the interesting things is Anakin Skywalker is actually virgin birth. His mother in it is played by an actress named Pernilla August. She plays Shmi Skywalker. This is Anakin's mother. And this is in Phantom Menace when Liam Neeson is talking to her. He says, who is his father? And she said, well, there isn't one. You know, he just happened, indicating it was virgin birth. So you get this whole virgin birth motif going as well, and it's transforming Anakin into this Christ Savior figure. What's interesting with this is Pernilla August, the woman who plays Anakin Skywalker's virgin mother, actually that very same year in 1999 in a TV movie, same actress played the Virgin Mary in a TV movie called Mary, the Mother of Jesus. And you can't tell me she wasn't cast for this parallel role that she played in this movie, in this TV movie where she played the Virgin Mary. She's now cast as Anakin's Virgin Mother, and the baggage she's bringing is that it's she's the Virgin Mother, and it's investing Anakin Skywalker with this Christ allegory, just like where she played the Mother of Jesus. Another great one is Anthony Zerbe in the second Matrix movie. He is, I can't remember the character's name, but he's cast as one of these elder statesmen in Zion, which is the last human holdout, sort of like one of the council members or something. There is a scene in that where he's talking to Neo about how Zion is the last bastion of mankind and how it needs to be preserved and how it's worth defending, and we've got to hold out, we can't let the dark machines in. This is actually a complete Gnostic, what you would call dualistic reversal of a part that Anthony Zerbe played in the early 1970s in The Omega Man, where Anthony Zerbe delivers this exact same speech, only it's reversed. He plays this mutant leader, and he's talking about Charlton Heston's hideout and how Heston is the last bastion of mankind and how it needs to be eradicated and destroyed, and we got to get in there and kill this guy. He's the last holdout. So it is just so fascinating that they cast Zerbe as sort of now he's the preserver of mankind, and he's bringing this cinematic baggage with him from the Omega Man, where it's completely reversed, and where he was trying to annihilate the last bastion of mankind. I mean, I thought that was just absolutely fascinating. Well, I'll give you one more, and this is something that's going in Cinema Symbolism, and I just discovered this one, and I was like, and this is another great one. In Cinema Symbolism 2, I'm doing a whole section on the works of David Lynch, who is very into Gnosticism and the ancient mysteries and ancient religions and symbolism. And I mean, his movies, by and large, are overloaded with this stuff. One of his more complex movies, and it's very difficult to dissect. I mean, it's difficult because you can interpret this thing so many different ways. There's a movie that came out in 1997. It's called Lost Highway. And in the movie, I'm not going to belabor this again too much longer, but in this movie, Bill Pullman and Robert Loggia play two, for lack of a better term, scumbags in this movie. Pullman's character is this sort of domineering control freak. He's very pessimistic. He's very gloomy. He wants to control the Patricia Arquette, all over the place. He's a control freak. Robert Loggia is the same way. He's this control freak. He's this gangster. He's a thug. He's a scumbag. He's just a real lowlife. Both of them are. And I'm watching this movie, and I'm thinking to myself, where have I seen these two guys before? And it was just it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was a few months earlier, in the summer of 1996. So we're only going back about 6 or 7 months on this one. Robert Loggia and Bill Pullman, during the summer of 1996, were saving planet Earth from these invading space aliens in a movie called Independence Day, where Pullman played the president and Loggia played this sort of hard-nosed general, where they're defending mankind. They're these, savior, very heroic figures defending mankind from these invading space aliens. So I think a few months later, by David Lynch, by turning these characters on their head and portraying Loggia and Pullman as scumbags, what Lynch is showing you is his utter contempt he has for the Hollywood blockbuster. And I thought that was another great one of these sort of esoteric casting calls by, with Lynch putting these guys in this movie as scumbags, basically saying to the world, hey, this is what I think of your Hollywood blockbuster.
Wow. Fascinating. This collective memory of Hollywood and all kinds of personal things going on as well. It's fascinating. So you mentioned the Matrix movie, and you spent some time in the Cinema Symbolism book talking about that, and I think that's one of my favorite series in terms of cinema symbolism. It seems overloaded with the Gnostic themes and the fake reality and...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say if you really want to see the Gnostic religion, Gnosticism proper, on the big screen, that's the movie to watch. Is really the first Matrix movie. I mean, you have the whole thing with the false reality. You have the demiurge. You have your the creator of the materialistic false reality. He turns up in part 2 as the architect. You have the agents of the demiurge, who are the agents. These are the enforcers of the demiurge. Of course, this is led by Agent Smith. Then you have Thomas Anderson as the Christ-like solar savior, who's going to bring gnosis and awakening to mankind. And of course, he's in this mankind's in stasis. So Neo is going to bring them out of this. It's a lot of bringing to light. I like it. When he goes in to meet Morpheus, very interesting dualistic name to give to this guy. In mythology, Morpheus is the god of sleep and dreams. Yet it's Morpheus who's going to bring Neo to the real world. They go into the hotel. They go up the ladder of ascension. They go up the staircase to meet with Morpheus. And he takes the pill, and then he becomes sort of the symbolic Alice in Wonderland. Goes through the looking glass. Melds with the glass, then wakes up in the real world. But I like it how he's lifted cruciform like Jesus towards the light into the belly of the Nebuchadnezzar. So it's this whole idea of being brought to light, being killed and resurrected, being brought back from the dead to life, a Gnostic epiphany. And then, Neo, again, is going to be the savior figure. I like the one little hint they give you when they bring Neo into the deck of the ship of the Nebuchadnezzar. You'll see the nameplate, and it says Mark 3:11. Mark 3:11 is just that, a very esoteric reference to the Bible verse Mark 3:11, which I think I'm paraphrasing here, but says something to the effect of "Thou art the Son of Man, and all darkness and demons bow down to you." And then you've got the whole idea of Sophia, the sacred feminine, the female wisdom provider, who's of course Trinity. And she helps, when he's in the Matrix, she helps resurrect him. And then at the end, he heads off into the the Gnostic pleroma, like Jesus ascending up into the heavens. So yeah, if you really, did you really have in that movie too? What I liked with the Matrix is, when you're talking about Gnosticism and you're talking about the godfathers of Gnosticism, sort of the two of the most famous fountainheads of Gnostic thought, of Mani and Valentinius. There you have it. You have the Manichaean strain with the whole light versus dark, good versus evil, matter, spiritualism versus materialism, matter and nothingness, conflict going on. And then you also have the Valentinian strain, which is the rejection of materialism for spiritualism, the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar who are seeking higher spiritual truths and willing to leave behind the decadence of the phony material world. I totally agree with you, Brother Greg. Completely Gnostic. If you asked me to list the top 3 Gnostic movies of all time, the first Matrix movie would definitely be probably number 1.
Yeah, I can't help but just be drawn in by that idea of the completely fake reality. Obviously, the Truman Show did that too, in a much different way. But the Matrix, that was a mind blower. I think at the time that I saw that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you've got the whole thing with the fake reality. You have this in the Truman Show as well. In the Truman Show, it's this, where you have the character of Ed Harris is your Manichaean demiurge, the creator of the phony material world. I liked in the Truman Show how you have sort of your archon is the wife in that, Laura Linney. All her sole purpose is, she could care less about him. All she wants to do is hawk the material wares. Everything's a commercial for her. I thought that was really clever. And then, the Truman Show kind of parallels the Matrix. The whole thing at the end, setting off in the ship for the new world. You have, at the end of the Matrix where Neo ascends into the heavens. You have Truman doing the same thing. Walking up into the clouds, to the spiritual realm. Two very Gnostic movies. The Matrix is great though because that is just one that is just so ripe with symbolism, and I just love the whole. The whole idea of the dead and resurrected savior figure. I love the name of the female Trinity. That's just so great. That comes straight out of the Gnostic world, the Nag Hammadi library. With the Holy Trinity, one of the components of the Holy Trinity was the sacred feminine, Sophia. So you have her name, Trinity. Dead giveaway. Then you have him stuffing the money in the book on nihilism. about how the real world is meaningless. I thought that was a great little tip-off. I mean, and then even the guy says it to him, you're my own personal Jesus Christ. I mean, that tells you, I mean, if there isn't foreshadowing,